At 5:15 in a village in Sindhupalchok district, a woman of 42 is already on the path above the house with a doko, a woven bamboo basket, strapped to her forehead by a tumpline and loaded with firewood cut from the slope above. The basket weighs approximately 30 kilograms. The path down to the village takes 25 minutes. She will make this trip twice today. At 7:30 in Gorkha district, a woman fills 2 plastic jerry cans from a tap that runs for 2 hours each morning and carries them up a stone path to the house, where her 3 children are waiting for breakfast. Her husband has been in Qatar for 14 months. He sends money when he can. By 9 in a village in Doko, a woman is chairing a meeting of the local mothers group, the Amma Samuha, in the courtyard of the community building. There are 11 women present. There are no men. The men are in Kathmandu, in Dubai, in Malaysia, in the construction sites and kitchens and security booths of the world that pays more than this mountain does. This is Nepal, a landlocked country of 30 million people between India to the south and Tibet to the north, with 8 of the world's 10 highest mountains and some of the most difficult terrain any population has ever organized a life inside. The postcards show the mountains. They do not show who is carrying the weight up them. What follows is daily life in a country whose women have been carrying it for a very long time and are still being asked to carry more. The doko is not a symbol, it is a tool. It is a conical basket, woven from bamboo or cane, carried on the back and supported by a tumpline that runs across the forehead or chest, distributing the load through the spine and legs rather than the shoulders and arms. Women in the hills of Nepal carry loads in dokos that development economists, when they finally measured them, found to average between 25 and 35 kilograms, occasionally more. Across terrain that has no roads, no mechanized transport, and in many cases no flat ground. Water, firewood, fodder for animals, harvested grain, building materials, sand and stone for construction, carried up paths that the roads have not yet reached and in some cases will not reach within the lifetimes of the people who live at the top of them. In the hills and mountains of Nepal, the infrastructure gap between the roadhead and the village is bridged every day by women with baskets on their backs. The physical consequence is documented and has been for decades. Spinal degeneration, joint damage, chronic back pain in women who have been carrying heavy loads since adolescence and who will carry them until they cannot. A woman in her 60s in a hill village who walks with the particular forward lean of someone whose spine has accommodated decades of downward pressure is not an exception. She is the expected outcome of a system in which the physical labor of daily survival was assigned to women before anyone thought to measure the cost. The labor does not end with the carrying. The water carried must be used to cook, to wash, to water the animals. The firewood carried must be burned, the fire tended, the smoke managed in kitchens that are frequently unventilated. Indoor air pollution from cooking fires in Nepal is among the highest recorded in South Asia. The women who cook over them breathe it for the years it takes to produce the respiratory damage that the health statistics eventually count. The counting happens after the damage. The labor that produced the damage was never counted at all. Nepal has one of the highest rates of male labor migration in Asia. Approximately 4 to 5 million Nepali men work abroad at any given time, in the Gulf states, in Malaysia, in India, and in smaller numbers across East Asia, Europe, and North America. The remittances they send home constitute approximately 25 to 30% of Nepal's GDP, one of the highest remittance dependency ratios in the world. The money is real. The absence that produces it is also real. In the hills of Sindhu Palchok, Gorkha, Dholaka, Koski, and Lamjung, the districts that send the most men abroad, entire villages have reorganized around female-headed households. A woman whose husband left for Qatar 2 years ago is not a woman waiting for her husband to come back and resume responsibility for the farm. She is running the farm. She is managing the money he sends. She is making the decisions about the children's schooling. She is negotiating with the landlord, the moneylender, the local government office. She is doing the physical labor of the agricultural cycle, planting, weeding, harvesting, threshing, that was divided between men and women when the men were present and now falls entirely to her. She is also, in many cases, doing this without having been prepared for it. A woman who married young in a society where the husband held financial authority and whose exposure to banking, to government offices, to land records and legal documents was limited or nil finds herself managing all of it the week after her husband boards the flight. The adaptation is not gradual, it is immediate and total. The same necessity that drove Haenyeo into the water in Jeju and Minangkabau women to the head of their clans drives Nepali women in the hills to the government land office with documents they have never handled on behalf of a household whose authority they were not formally given and cannot afford to wait to receive. The adaptation happens. The recognition of what the women have become in their husband's absence takes considerably longer. A woman running a household alone in the hills of Nepal is running it inside a legal and social framework that was built for a household with a man at its center. Property law in Nepal has been reformed progressively since the 2007 interim constitution and the 2015 constitution both included provisions for gender equality. Women now have the legal right to inherit ancestral property equally with brothers. They have the right to register land in their own names. They have the right to open bank accounts, access credit, and conduct legal transactions without a husband's or father's co-signature. The law changed. The practice has changed more slowly. In a village in Gorkha, where the land records have not been updated in 2 decades, a woman whose husband is in Malaysia cannot sell or mortgage the family's land because the land is registered in her husband's name and he is not present to sign. The law gives her the right in principle. The land office requires the name on the register. The gap between the principal and the register is the gap in which her financial flexibility disappears. The chowpatty system, the practice of isolating menstruating women in outdoor sheds or animal shelters based on a belief in ritual impurity, was criminalized in Nepal in 2017. The criminalization has not ended the practice. In the far western districts of Sudar Pashchim and Karnali, women are still confined to outdoor structures during menstruation in significant numbers, despite the law. Women and girls have died in these structures, from cold, from snakebite, from smoke inhalation in winter. The deaths have been documented. The practice continues. The distance between Kathmandu and the far west is not only geographical. On the 25th of April 2015, an earthquake of magnitude 7.8 struck Nepal near the district of Gorkha. It killed approximately 9,000 people, injured 22,000 more, and destroyed or damaged approximately 900,000 structures across the country. In the affected districts, where the men were already predominantly absent, the immediate response in the villages fell to women. They pulled people from rubble. They organized the distribution of whatever food and materials were available. They managed the temporary shelters. They kept the children together and the elderly accounted for. They coordinated with relief workers who arrived days later to find that the initial organization of the affected villages had been done by women who had no training in disaster response and no mandate from any authority. In the reconstruction that followed, international NGOs and the Nepali government found that the most effective local partners in rebuilding communities were the Amma Samuhas, the mothers groups, that had been operating in hill villages for years, originally established for maternal and child health programs, and had become, in the absence of men, the primary organizational structure of village life. The Amma Samuhu in a village in Doko that was meeting this morning was registered in 2009 for a nutrition program. By 2015, it was managing reconstruction decisions. By 2024, it is the body that approves community development projects, manages the local savings and credit group, and settles disputes that would previously have gone to male elders. The organization existed before the earthquake. The earthquake revealed what it had become. Nepal's female literacy rate was approximately 46% in 2001. By 2021, it had reached approximately 71%. The improvement is real. The gap with the male literacy rate, approximately 84% in 2021, is also real. The gap is not closing at the same speed at which it opened. Girls' enrollment in primary school in Nepal has reached near parity with boys across most of the country. The divergence comes later, at secondary school, at the point where a daughter's labor in the home becomes more immediately valuable to a household than her continued presence in a classroom. A family in Sindhu Palchak, with a husband in Qatar and a daughter of 14, is managing a calculation that the enrollment statistics do not capture. The daughter in school is a daughter not carrying water, not helping with the harvest, not available for the labor the household requires in the hours before and after the school day. The school is an investment with a return that arrives in years. The water needs to be carried this morning. Girls who stay in school past 14 in Nepal's hills do so because someone in the household has made a decision that the education is worth the immediate cost in labor. The decision is made more easily in households where a mother has experienced her own labor's value being discounted, where she has managed the farm alone and negotiated with the land office and chaired the Amma Samuhu meeting and concluded that the daughter should not carry the Doko if there is any alternative at all. In a village in Gorkha, a woman of 44, whose husband has been in Malaysia for 3 years, is talking about her daughter, who is 16 and in secondary school. She says, "I am doing the carrying so she does not have to." She means it literally, and she means it as everything else too. At dusk in Sindhu Palchak, the woman who made 2 trips up the slope is back inside the house. The fire is lit. The children are fed. The Doko hangs on the wall beside the door. The Doko, the conical bamboo basket carried on a tumpline across the forehead, the load pressing against the upper back, the weight transferred down the spine and through the legs rather than carried in the arms, is the ordinary unit of labor in these hills. Firewood, fodder for the animals. The harvested grain. Water when the tap runs dry, which in Sindhu Palchak is not infrequently. All of it moved this way, up slopes that no wheeled cart could manage and that no road has yet been built to bypass. The terrain does not allow for shortcuts. A trip up the slope is a trip up the slope, regardless of who is making it, regardless of what else that day has already required of her, regardless of what the slope did to her knees last winter, or what her back has been telling her since March. The load does not become lighter because the carrier is tired. It waits, exactly as heavy as it is, until someone picks it up. In this house, the someone is her. It has been hers since the flight to Doha 14 months ago. Her husband called last week from Qatar. He asked how things were going. She told him things were going. She did not list what things. She did not describe the length of the list, or what the weight of each item on it had done to her back over those 14 months. Or that she had made 2 trips up the slope today, and that the second trip was harder than the first in a way she would not have admitted to him, even if she had the time to explain it. The call lasted 11 minutes. She made dinner after it. Nepal sends a striking share of its working-age men abroad. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Malaysia, largely into construction, security, and low-wage labor, on contracts of 2 or 3 years that are renewed if the money is sufficient and the conditions are tolerable, and the family at home has not yet reached the point of asking him to come back. Remittances sent home by Nepali workers abroad constitute approximately 25 to 30% of the country's GDP, one of the highest ratios of any economy in the world. The ratio is not incidental. It is policy, or the consequence of policy, a labor export model that has been the Nepali government's most reliable economic stabilizer for 2 decades, built on the willingness of young men to leave their families for wages that the Nepali economy cannot match. The scale of the departure means the pattern in this house is not a private hardship so much as a structural feature of rural Nepal. In Sindhupalchok, in Gorkha, in Kaski, in Lamjung, the districts that send the most men, entire villages have been reorganized around female-headed households. The able-bodied male population has been thinned by contracts abroad. The agricultural and household labor that remains has become, by simple arithmetic, women's work almost entirely. Researchers studying this shift have a term for it: the feminization of agriculture. The term is accurate, and it is bloodless. From inside the house, it translates into exactly what it sounds like: more of everything, done by her. The planting, the weeding, the harvesting, the threshing, the water, the wood, the animals, the children's schooling and the landlord's visit, and the government office that requires a document she has never dealt with before and cannot ask her husband to handle because her husband is in Qatar and the government office closes at 4. He sends money when he can. She sends back the news in the length of time she has to send it, which is the time after the children are sleeping and before her own body stops cooperating, a window that is sometimes 30 minutes and sometimes less, and is almost never enough to say everything the call could contain. Somewhere in the valley below, a girl of 16 is doing homework by the light of a solar lamp her mother bought with money managed across the distance her father's absence created. The lamp is small, the light is enough. Solar lamps of exactly this kind have spread through rural Nepal over the past decade, often through microfinance programs running alongside the same women's cooperative structures that manage remittance savings. Sometimes through Engo supply chains that reach villages the grid has not yet connected. Sometimes through a woman who saw one in another village and asked her husband's next transfer to cover it. The lamp is a small, specific technology that maps neatly onto a small, specific fact. Girls doing homework after dark used to mean kerosene, and kerosene means a flame that gives poor light, fills the room with soot, and in a house with a thatch or timber roof is a calculation between literacy and fire risk that many families made in favor of early bedtime. The girl doing homework does not think about the chain of decisions that put the lamp on the table beside her. She is 16 and has homework. The light is there. That is what she knows. What she does not yet know is that the light was a decision someone made about her future before she had the words to ask for it. In Sindupalchok, the fire has been burning for an hour. The children are asleep. The Doko is on the wall. The woman at the table is not doing anything in particular. She is sitting in the quiet that comes after the last thing that needed doing has been done, before the body admits how tired it is. The solar lamp in the valley below is still on. The girl is still working. The Thursday morning meeting will happen whether or not this woman attends. But she will attend. She has been attending for 6 years. She is the one who brought the question of the trail to the group last March. The trail was repaired in April. The monsoon came in June and did not wash anyone off the path. Her husband will call again next week. She will tell him things are going. Not finished. Not even close. But lighter, in some villages, than it was. Lighter by the weight of one lamp on one table, and one trail repaired before the rains, and one girl doing homework in light her mother decided she deserved.